Welcome to the Betfred Boxing Show with myself, Don McGuinness and Anthony Crolla. And as ever, we're going to be looking back at the action that we've just witnessed and previewing all the forthcoming fighting that we are looking forward to in the UK and abroad. But we're going to start, Anthony, as we always do, with what we've just witnessed. And that was, well, a fight that just did not disappoint. The super welterweight, all the belts on the line, that unification bout in Texas against Jermell Charlo, the favourite, of course, going in against the tough Argentinian Brian Castano. I mean, again, we'll get to the scorecards in a minute, but yeah.
What a fight. And I think, you know, a big fight like that when all the marbles on the line, you want it to deliver. And I think we always thought it was going to, Castano, I think anyone who knew boxing knew it was going to be a tough night for Charlo. I didn't realise, I think in the prediction, I don't know if I said Charlo later, but I did say about him asking questions, but it was a lot more than asking questions. Then we're going to get on to that, but thought it could feel like pretty hard done by not to have got the decision. Charlo, no denying, super talent, but he just didn't let him breathe, did he, Castano? And I think he should be going, well, he'll go back to Argentina hero anyway, but I mean, he should be going back with the rewards as well. And I'm sure, I'd love to see it again. Fantastic fight. If not, he's certainly put his name in the hat there for some huge fights.
Well, we are going to see it again. That is the beauty of it. So yeah, we can look forward to that one. And again, when we look at the scorecards, you know, 114, 113, that's fine. That, you know, again, it was a good fight, close fight, but the draw 114, 114, fair enough. But then 117, 111, Nelson. I mean, in favour of Charlo. How do you do that? How do you find that?
That's scary, and that judge's card needs looking into and explaining. I know you could argue there's a lot of close rounds, but no matter how many times you watch that fight or how you watch it, what you look for, I think you'd surely struggle to, anyone with, you know, who knows, half knows boxing would struggle to come up with that scorecard. And like I said, I'm not saying that the draw was a robbery. It was a great fight. It was a close fight, but I think most people thought Charlo was fortunate to come away with his title. But to looking at that scorecard, you know, it stinks. Listen, let's be honest, we can dress it up however we want. It's not the kind of card we need to be seeing and talking about after what was such a fantastic fight.
Charlo had some eye-catching work in there, but Castano's work rate, and this is a guy that had a very good amateur pedigree, of course, as well. Let's not forget, he's not come from nowhere. But again, talk about someone that is incessant, and you know, he's horrible for anyone to face. He's that kind of fighter that he's. What do you do with him? What do you do with him?
Castano, yeah, he's a nightmare. I think you've got to look to hurt him and gain some respect, but that's much easier said than done, isn't it? And so I think you've got to give Charlo a bit of credit for taking that fight, because I think it was people who knew boxing, but I think it was high risk, low reward. I mean, you could argue managers and stuff like that, but you know the name. There's probably easier fights out there, much bigger names, and probably you get much more recognition for doing it. But I'm glad that Stan got his shot, and he certainly delivered, and brilliant. We get to see it again.
Yeah, well, we look forward to that one. Now, of course, there's some action coming up this weekend. We're going to look ahead to the big heavyweights very shortly, but a little bit of news from your own camp that we're just going to look at now, because your fighters, I know, again, for anyone that isn't aware, you work with Joe Gallagher, you assist him with all the stable of fighters in Bolton, but you have your own fighters in Jake James, James Moorcroft and Rhiannon Dixon. Now, obviously, Jake James was out fairly recently at the Fight Zone Arena, again in action in Sheffield, but the other two, James Moorcroft, Rhiannon Dixon, have got fights coming up in September now. So what can you tell us about that?
Yes. So you have to give me I think Steve Wood's putting on shows. So the back-to-back. So I've got Jake on the Saturday night, which is either the September the 11th or 12th. And then the following afternoon, I have both James and thankfully Rhiannon as well, which has been a long time. We've been working together, understandably. In this pandemic, it's been tough for 13 months. That'll be our first time working together on fight night. So yeah, it's good for them to have dates. The three of them, like I say, within 24 hours of each other as well. And that'll soon come round now. I think it's 7 weeks this weekend, I think. So they're very much in camp now.
Well, to find out a little bit more about one of those fighters, Rhiannon Dixon, myself and Anthony, well, we caught up with her just a few minutes ago. Well, Rhiannon, it's good to see you. I know that yourself and Anthony have been training this morning and everything else, so appreciate your time. I know you're very, very busy. You've got a lot going on, haven't you? For those that don't know your story, as well as being a professional boxer, obviously, you've had your hands full being a pharmacist in the NHS as well.
Yeah, I'm a hospital pharmacist at Whiston Hospital, so it's just been a bit mad with this pandemic and boxing. So I'm just quite fortunate that I've got a fight date now finally in September, which I'm looking forward to. So,
how's it been in terms of with the pandemic and the work that you do with the hospital? Has boxing been a massive relief just going training? I know that you want to be active and you want to be fighting, and everybody has had to be patient, but just getting away and hitting the bags and getting some of the stress away, has it been good for you?
Oh, definitely. It's been a massive learning curve, this pandemic. You know, we've changed the way we've been working, and you know, we've been under a lot of strain with work because of a lot of staff members being off, and like we're closing wards down to make COVID wards, and it's just been a massive change. So being able like to go and train and go and hit the bags and, you know, learn new stuff and just switch off from work, it's been a massive relief for me.
I'm going to actually quiz Anthony, obviously, about your progress in a minute. But tell us then about the day. I know that you train with James closely, James Moorcroft, and the pair of you should be out in September together. Then what's the situation with it?
We're fighting on Wood show in September 12th on it's a weird one. It's Sunday afternoon, which I've never fought like on an afternoon show before. But yeah, I'm really excited. It's been a long time coming. And yeah, I don't think I've fought since 2019. So hopefully I'll be back with a bang.
Anthony, this will be Rhiannon's third professional fight. I know she's obviously not been with you for a fight yet. This will be the first time you two will actually with the team together, but you've seen her obviously for a good while now in the gym, and in terms of progress and sparring and all the rest of it, everything that goes with it, give us your kind of report on her progress. I mean, I'm trying to embarrass you in a little way here, obviously.
Okay, I think you'll know, and anyone who speaks to me about Rhiannon will know how highly I praise her, but it's crazy because we've been working, by the time Rhiannon has her first fight under me, we would have been working together 13 months, wouldn't we? I think in August, wasn't it? We started Rhiannon, and then it's a good 13 months together. So it's almost like a professional debut all over again. You've got to remember, Rhiannon, she has no amateur background. She had seven white collar fights, Rhiannon?
Yeah.
7 white collar fights, and it's, for me, I say this very often, Joe, some of the sparring she's had in the past 12 months, and even listen before that, when Rhiannon was with a previous coach, she has no business belonging in the same gym as some of those fighters because of such limited, pedigree, no amateur pedigree, nothing like that. Never mind sparring with them and giving a great account of herself. So I'm really excited about the future with her. Obviously, I don't want to embarrass her too much or put her under too much pressure. But I think, obviously, speaking to you, Damar, speaking to anyone who knows me and what I think of Rhiannon, I've got really big hopes for her. And I think we'll have she's going to fight September, right, Rhiannon, on Steve's show, Steve Wood's a manager. And then October, I've not sort of announced it yet, but Eddie Earn's in the middle of signing something off. So we look forward to sort of moving over there in the very near future, me and Steve behind her.
So Rhiannon, that sounds like a very exciting journey in a short space of time. So you're going to be fighting on huge cards as well. And Steve's a brilliant manager as well, so he'll guide you the right way. And if you're going to be working with promoters like Eddie, it looks like you're going to be on a bit of a fast track. Is that the way you see it yourself?
I don't know, because it's kind of like a shock, because obviously, I've only had 7 white collar fights and then 2 professional fights. It's just a bit like, I can't believe I'm getting all these opportunities, and I'm just so thankful to Anne and Steve and everything that they're doing for me. So I'm just gonna take each fight as it comes and try and learn as much as I can. I'm fortunate that I can spar with Natasha Jonas, who's a southpaw, like one of the best southpaws, if not the best female southpaw in the world. So I can learn so much from her. So I'm just going to try and take each fight as it comes, and then whatever Anne and Steve want me to do and how they want me to progress, I'm going to just listen to them, because I don't really know much about like the boxing, you know, game. I'm really new to it, so I'm just going to take as much advice as I can and, you know, just listen to them.
How have you enjoyed it? You talk about Natasha. We know how skilled, what an operator she is. But I know that you've obviously sparred the likes of Terry Harper as well. And, you know, I mean, who else have you been in with? And how much learning has that been in terms of the 13 months that you've been doing that? All the gym work, but brilliant sparring, top quality stuff going on there.
Yeah, so when I'm sparring Natasha, like I see stuff that she's doing in one round, and then I'll try and do it in the next round because I think, oh, that looks amazing. Like I want to try that because it's southpaw be southpaw, so whatever she does, I can try out. I've also been sparring. I've sparred Savannah Marshall earlier on in the year and Chantel Cameron, and you know, just being around people like that, and you know, you can just learn so much from sparring. Like Chantel's inside game's unbelievable. So that was a massive learning curve for me. You know, because I don't really focus a lot on that in training, and now that's something that I really enjoy. You know, trying to learn and trying to better. So. Yeah, I'm just learning so much from everyone, and you know, someone who's coming from white collar, going and doing sparring with people like that is crazy, really.
Anthony, from your point of view, and you've seen spars across all divisions, across all kind of skill sets and everything else. I mean, I know that you've been impressed with the way Rhiannon's handled herself with such limited experience. As a pro and no amateur background, what would you want to see her do in terms of contests and how quickly stepping up? You know, as soon as she gets back out there after September.
For me, it's now a bit of activity. Like I say, there's no crazy rush, but I do know that in the women's game, you know, because of the number of boxers there's, although it's growing all the time, she will get moved fast. You know, Rhiannon's not going to get 10 learning fights, but you know, she's due to get 5 fights in the next 12 months. And I certainly think we'll certainly be knocking on the doors, if not for our first title in those 12 months. I mean, that's crazy. Like 75, then she would have had 7 professional fights, as well as the 7-year world would be able to do a lot of learning, but a lot of learning fights. But I think we're going to have to learn on the job. We've mentioned some of the sparring she's getting, and like I say, I think the sparring with Natasha Jonas is hugely beneficial to Rhiannon, but the other girls as well. And it's like I say, it's exciting times. It's exciting times, but I always say I don't want to start saying, you know, bold predictions, even though I'm very excited and how far I believe Rhiannon can go. I believe she can go the whole way, but I'd sound half a lunatic saying that because of the limited experience she's got. But you know, I think she's a natural athlete in whatever she does, but she's learning and improving week by week. So exciting times for sure.
Just to clarify, could you operate a few different divisions, Rhiannon? Because we've seen obviously that you've got to take opportunities where they come. You have boxed at lightweight. Are you flexible on that?
Yeah, I think I could go there. So maybe with a day before weighing, I potentially could go down, but I think it's more like up to and you know, he's, you know, how much experience he has with boxing, and just listen to him and whatever he thinks is best.
Yeah. And just another word then about the other career, if you like. What happens now? Because it looks like your pro career is taking off, but you know, you've been doing amazing work like everybody has in the NHS with this pandemic that's been going on. And it's a great story. I mean, we were at the gym, we saw you turn up in your scrubs to train. You'd literally come straight from the hospital in your scrubs. So what happens with the pharmacy kind of work, or the rest of it now?
Like, I love my job and I love going into work every day and, you know, helping people. So I'm going to try and continue it for as long as I can because I really enjoy going and like seeing all my friends, and my manager's really understanding. So she'll accommodate, you know, my shifts and with boxing because she knows that like boxing's my dream. So I'm just going to try and do it for as long as I can. And then if it comes to a point where it's hindering on my training, which I don't think it is at the moment, then I think I'll have to make a decision to like reduce my hours even more and then like put my career on hold, like my pharmacy career on hold until I've fulfilled everything I wanted to do with boxing, and then, you know, go back into the NHS after boxing. But I think I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. As at the moment, I don't think that, you know, working's hindering my training. So I'm enjoying doing both.
Very final question now. Do you think you'd train better if you stopped Anthony's playlist? Because, you know, there's only so much Mamma Mia and Glee songs and all that kind of nonsense that you can listen to.
I'd much prefer Ant's playlist over James Moorcroft's playlist. That boy plays the worst music ever. So I'd take that over James's any day.
Right, go on. Give us the benefits, the pros and cons of both playlists then. What Anthony, in all seriousness, some of the stuff he likes.
No, we're cool, aren't we, Rhiannon?
Yeah, you and me and Ant are on a level, like we like the same artists, whereas like James comes in and plays like Wig and Pear, and like we can't listen to certain people because it brings back memories for James, like Nick and So you know, there's no pros to James's playlist. That's it.
No, I think you're a bit of a creep. I think you just because Anthony, this is no good. I'm not having this. Anyway, never mind. I believe you.
See, me and Ant both like Cardi B, so that's why we're on
R&B, that's all right. It's the other stuff that he likes. But anyway, he's obviously not playing that in the gym.
No. What other stuff about that? ABBA?
There's ABBA don't go on in the gym.
Right, well, anyway, I hope all goes well for September and the training up to that, and best of luck, and enjoy the sunshine as well when you get a break from work and boxing.
I know I'm gonna have to go on a run in it now, so I'm really not looking forward to that.
Good stuff. Cheers, Rhiannon. Well, she's sticking by you in terms of your taste in music anyway, and very, very loyal in that one. But again, she's very comfortable. One of the things you know is it's no experience in the boxing world really as yet, but you know, again, in interviews and everything else, she just comes across so well, and with her story, it's going to help because I know that you feel she'll back it up in the ring.
Of course, and I say all the time, I think a story alone could probably get that opportunity, but I've always said once she gets that opportunity, it'll be a talent that people talk about more. I genuinely believe that, you know, I'm not silly. It helps if you have a story with, you know, professional boxing is a business as well. You know, she's very marketable, great girl. And I believe that, you know, with it, like I said, she'll get that chance, and that just adds to it more once they see her there. Anyone, you know, who's seen a fight since fight, they go, no, the girl can fight. The girl can really fight. So I'm really excited about her. Like I say, anyone who knows me knows how highly I've spoke about her. And I believe she'll deliver in the ring. So I'm like happy she's back out in September, and then she'll be active leading up to Christmas on big shows.
Good thing as well for her, because she mentioned obviously she's done a little bit of work with Savannah Marshall, which is incredible. Savannah's just such an amazing talent, but obviously Savannah's much bigger, and that's been a hindrance for it in getting proper fights all the time. I mean, you know, Savannah she's a problem for anybody, obviously, but it's not the depth in that area. Whereas Rhiannon's in the right categories, isn't she? Around lightweight, perfect. She
is. I mean, listen, I think around that weight right now is probably the hottest division in boxing. But she's very much like, say, I'm never ever going to start saying, oh, this girl who's that. She like to say, I keep saying it, she's 2 professional fights and 1 at 4 in 2 years. She's had 7 white collar fights. So I'd never be, you know, stupid enough to call those kind of names out. You know, that's not who we're looking at. Once we believe we get to where we can get to, you see who's top of the tree then, don't you? But in the meantime, obviously she just wants to stay active, which she now will do. But also, you know, she'll pick up some great quality sparring which she'll be learning from. You mentioned that obviously Savannah's a lot bigger than her, but you know, it's very sort of vital lessons. You know, 4 are there with Savannah, Chantel, Tasha, and before she came to, she's done work with Terry App. So those kind of names are brilliant, and she can only learn from it.
Yep. Well, moving on to the action this weekend, and there's return to the ring. The juggernaut, Big Joe. He's not fought since he, well, in some fantastic fashion, put away Daniel Dubois, of course, that 10th round stoppage when those two met. That was such an engaging, intriguing fight, and Joe came out on top in that. Again, we know about his pedigree, silver medalist at the Olympics, and really should have been gold. You know, Tony Yoka in the final, did he win?
Yes,
many would say
very
did.
unlucky.
So his pedigree is absolutely fantastic. He's only had 12 pro fights, perfect record, 11 knockouts in there as well. Comes up against Carlos Takam now, who's been around a long time, an Olympian himself as well, as we're on the bit of the theme of the Olympics for obvious reasons at the minute. He's getting on a bit now, Takam. What kind of threat does he pose, Big Joe?
There's no denying he certainly poses a threat. I think it's a fantastic fight though for Joe. I think he's been handled, managed, unbelievably well. If you look at the opposition he's fought in just, would you say, 12 contests, it's been fantastic. And I think again, Takam is at a good level, like you'd say, sort of fringe world title, and that's what he is now. I think he's just been stated as the WBO #1. So soon he'd be the next mandatory. Obviously, no slip-ups weekend, but I think it's a good fight because it can be a little bit of a yardstick. I mean, you could argue Takam has probably slowed down a little bit, but look at the pedigree he's been doing, your Joshua's, Chisora's, and some of the others. He's never normally an easy night's work for anyone. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the performance that Joe Joyce puts in. Listen, Dubois, he was punch perfect. He really was. He was a fantastic performance against, a fantastic young heavyweight. That was more or less an eliminator for a world title in its own. But again, a good win weekend will only stake his claim to be mandatory for the WBO title, which has obviously been ordered and just been announced for some time in September. Real fascinating fight with two other Olympians, as you mentioned. But Joe Joyce is one of the top heavyweights in the world, and I said it to you, I never want to back against him again.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the fight that's been confirmed in that Joshua and Usyk will do battle at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium now on September the 25th. Then, a fortnight later, it will be Fury Wilder 3. So if Big Joe beats Takam, he'll only have to wait maybe 7 or 8 years to get a world title shot.
Yes, it'll be there, and time's on his side and stuff like that. But yeah, no, but you think they'll make him mandatory? But listen, there's no denying he will have to wait. And AJ Usyk, the winner of that, you'd imagine would be allowed at least a fight in between. So a shot at the world title isn't necessarily. You'd imagine Joe's going to fight a few times in between that. However, it's Joe being the kind of fighter he is. You can't imagine. It doesn't matter who heavyweight champion of the world is. He's going to think, you know what? I'm going to give a voluntary defense against the juggernaut. I think there'd be very few fighters or advisors, managers, coaches who would think that would be a good idea. But in the meantime, like I say, it's great to see Joe Joyce out, and he's in a proper fight. I'm sure he could sit on that #1 ranking for quite some time and wait for that mandatory spot, but he's in a real fight weekend. But it's a fight that I do expect him to come through and catch up with Takam later on in the fight.
Yeah, well, Big Joe certainly deserves to be right up there with the top boys, no doubt about that. All the bouts on that card as well, an interesting card. Chris Jenkins is back against Nico Westerman. Then there's Hamza Shiraz is also out. Chris Buck as well. It's a decent card.
It's a great card. The fights you mentioned then, the British welterweight title. That could be a great fight. It's been Chris has been inactive with the cuts and stuff like that. Hamza, very, very excited about him. I think the board, very unlikely it's happened. I don't know if they've just put him and Anthony Fowler in some kind of eliminator, but he's a great young prospect. Like I said, I don't expect that to happen, going in different routes. And the other one, Chris Buck and Jimmy Beach Jr. I remember his dad, I'm showing my age there, but he really impressed me in his challenge against Brad Foster. He come up short, he gave a great account of himself against a very, very good fighter in Brad. But that's the moving Chris fast, and I think that's a very lively fight, and I think it's a fantastic undercard, to be honest. All three of those fights then leading up to Big Joe.
And Big Joe, silver medalist, as we talked about, we did mention before, a bit of an Olympic theme, of course. We already spoken about, Deontay Wilder, bronze medalist. Obviously, Tyson Fury hasn't got that Olympic pedigree, if you like, but obviously the other two that we mentioned, Joshua and Usyk, gold medalists at London 2012, the pair of them. But now, of course, in Tokyo, in a bizarre games, let's face it, with no crowd in any of the events, which is so unfortunate for all those athletes and competitors taking part. But the boxing begins at the weekend. GB have got 11 fighters, 7 men, 4 women. And again, just one category of the women missing. There's obviously a qualifier in every single division. It shows you the strength of the GB squad. And And again, you know, we kind of had a look at the list last week, but you look at the list of the fighters going in, the McCormack twins and the big boys in Chev Clark and Fraser Clark, you know, McGrail, the Merseysider who's been in and around. It seems like to be forever in the amateur scene. I mean, some amazing talent in the GB squad, isn't it?
What a team. I think you've probably said it on the show twice before, I think. But for me, this has potentially got the potential to be the best Olympic boxing team that we've ever had. I genuinely believe it when I say, listen, you need a little bit of luck in the draw, but every single one of those fighters has got the potential to medal. Some of those medals being a better colour than the others, but like I say, you need that little bit of luck in the draw, no matter who you are. But I expect to go down for the medals, me. I really do. I think there's some amazing talent on show, and I cannot wait to get it started. And I think the funding that's been secured over the years for the boxing team will be backed up when they see the amount of medals that they get. You know, no pressure about the amount of medals that they bring home.
You know, just a quick one. You went on to achieve what you did in the pro game. Again, it all went brilliantly for you. When you look back at your career, you can't argue with any of it, can you? Really, because you became a world champion. Yeah, packing out the arena, Manchester Arena, all the rest of it. But I know that there was just a little bit of not kind of acrimony, but you weren't that happy with your amateur career, that you think that internationally it could have gone a bit better for you. So do you look at the Olympics now and think, you know what? I would have liked that.
Absolutely, Dom. I say all the time, and not even the Olympics, even other tournaments that but it was very hard. I'm also realistic at my time, Frankie Gavin was out, who's arguably one of the greatest amateurs we've, the greatest, or one of for sure. Frankie was so talented, but it was hard because Frankie was, obviously, it was well known the struggles in missing the weight for the Beijing Olympics, but he was only making weight on certain tournaments, and it was like sort of just being sat around and, you could potentially go to this tournament. And so it was like, it left them, I don't want to say a bad taste, because I sort of knew my role. I mean, Frankie was unbelievable, but I would have loved to have picked up some international experience that I don't believe I was given the chance to. I believe if it would have, probably made me a better fighter for sure. But, you know, experiences of fighting in those multi-nation tournaments around the world. But obviously it was just the position I was in. So that was why I turned over when I did. I would have loved to have stayed amateur a little bit longer, but in the end it worked out. So I can't have too many complaints.
Absolutely did. Now, a fella that has had the Olympic experience and got a bronze medal as well, London 2012, all going great for him. Brilliant performance at London. Then did turn over the pro game. Injuries, had a terrible, terrible time with injuries. Yeah. But again, it will turn out well in the end, because Anthony Ogogo's kind of revamped and he's a new Anthony Ogogo now. He's in the professional wrestling game. But to find out what he thinks about life as an Olympian and the chances of the GB team and loads of other things, producer Josh caught up with Anthony.
Joined here by former boxer and now professional wrestler Anthony Ogogo, the governor. First of all, want to go back to the boxing, Anthony, and of course you were boxing in the London 2012 Olympics. What was that like, first of all, boxing in the Olympics, especially at home as well?
Oh mate, it was amazing. It was amazing, right? It was by far the pinnacle of my athletic career thus far. Everything and I was a bit of an anomaly. Like, I was never fussed about turning pro. I didn't want to turn pro, really. Like, for me, I was a boxer because I wanted to become Olympic champion, and that was my one true dream in life, to become Olympic champ. And I've said it in the past, like, had I become Olympic champion in London in front of my family, my friends, my home nation, I probably would have retired from boxing and left it alone and done something else. You know, I wasn't fussed by the pros, so I really wasn't. So for me, it was everything. Unfortunately for me, like, I was, and this is very obviously unique to me, but like, the Olympics was the best time of my life because it was everything I'd ever dreamt of. And it was the worst time of my life. My mum, who is my hero, she was in hospital in a coma, fighting for her life, having operations on her brain to save her life, like, on a daily basis. So I was dealing with that. I was dealing with my mum. I didn't train for 5 weeks going into the games. I lost weight. So I was physically being sick with worry. Horrible time, emotionally, mentally, bad time. but from a sporting perspective, it was the most amazing time. So for me, it was funny. I've got really a topsy-turvy emotions and feelings about it. However, going through what I was going through personally, I still won a medal, a hard medal. I'm very, very proud of that. So it was amazing. It really, really was an amazing time, for good and bad.
No, definitely. And there were a few other members of that 2012 class. Some people may know Anthony Joshua. Some people may know Nicola Adams. Do you still keep in touch with those guys and girls from that 2012 class?
Not really, actually. Not really. We've all kind of gone off and done our own thing. It's a shame. I speak to Tom Stalker now and then. Luke Campbell, me and him were really close for the best part of 10 years. But listen, you get into your 30s and life changes, right? And like priorities change, and not really. And for me, listen, Joshua, we didn't speak much after the games. He kind of went his own route. I guess we all went our own routes, really. We all went our own different avenues and stuff. When I retired from boxing 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I retired from boxing. And I hadn't boxed in 3 years after hurting my eye. I had 9 surgeries on my eye in 3 years to try to get back in the boxing ring, and I wasn't to be, and I had to retire. So I was very bitter. I was really upset, very bitter. I was in a really bad place in my life. And I actively ran away from boxing because for me, how my career ended so bitterly, that I was just bitter. I was sad, and it brought me hurt and pain. So I had to get away. And that's one of the reasons why I did the wrestling, as you mentioned. I'm doing the wrestling. And now I've been away for so long, I can now look back fondly. I can now look back, and that initial bitterness is gone. I can look back and I can genuinely wish the current crop of Olympians my very best and mean it, rather than just say it behind a half fake tweet. I remember the 2016 Olympics, it's 4 years after my Olympics, and my mum was really ill, and I was very bitter still that I didn't win a gold medal, because although my bronze was an amazing achievement, anyway, but in spite of what I was going through, even a bigger achievement, I still wanted a gold medal, and I was good enough for the gold medal, and I should have won a gold medal. So the fact I didn't get it, I was very bitter still, right? So when Rio comes along, I had my head in the sand and I ignored it. I didn't watch any of Rio, right? Which is, I'm the biggest Olympic fan in the world and the biggest sports fan in the world. The Olympics were my life. I mentioned a minute ago, turning pro, I wasn't bothered. I was bothered about the Olympic Games. And it's taking you to go off and to start being successful elsewhere in a totally different, sphere. To me, to be able to look back now and genuinely feel proud of my achievements as an athlete, as a boxer, and be happy for the guys coming through, guys and girls coming through now. And I genuinely, wholeheartedly want them to do well in Tokyo this year, and so on and so forth. So I guess I'm kind of healed. So anyway, the point I'm making was I kind of went off on my own a little bit. I actively tried to avoid boxes because boxing brought me pain, So now I'm in a situation where I'm happy to start doing more boxing stuff. So when you messaged me and said, "Can we have you on today to talk about boxing?" I was like, yeah. And now I can do it, and without being riled up full of bitterness, I can come back and talk about boxing and wish people well, without doing it through gritted teeth, which I was doing it for a couple of years. However, man. So
definitely. And you mentioned there the current crop of Olympic boxers who are going to be out there in Tokyo. Who do you think out those guys and girls stand the best chance of achieving medal success for us?
I think Pat McCormack is probably our most talented boxer at the minute. He's unbelievable. He was 8 years ago when I was there. 9 years ago. He's now bigger, stronger, more physically mature. Fraser, I really want Fraser Clark to do well, because Fraser Clark, he was on the Great Britain team when I got on the squad in 2010. He was already the number 1 middleweight then as a 19-year-old. He had to watch Anthony Joshua usurp him in 2012. He had to watch Joe Joyce usurp him in 2016. He had offers to turn pro, I'm sure, and be successful, earn money. Yeah, he said no to them all to stay amateur, to wait for this chance. So he deserves a good run in the Olympics as much as anybody. He's been there. It's hard, man. Been on the squad Monday to Thursday every week, bar none. Going to all these little tournaments around the world, boxing, sparring, getting your head punched in like every week for the whole year. With 2 weeks off in the summer and a week off for Christmas. That's hard, man. It's hard to do that. He's done it for over a decade. Well over a decade. So I wish him the very best. There's a girl called Charlie Davidson. She's from my small town, Lowestoft. She's from my small club, AAA boxing club. Nobody from Lowestoft, like when I was growing up, nobody in Lowestoft had ever done anything, to make me think I could do it. Then I come along and I went to the Olympic Games and gave all these young people hope and dreams. And now Charlie Davidson, a female, has come and she's seen my success and wants it for herself, which is amazing. And on top of that, she's a mother of 3 kids. She's a mother of 3 kids and she's a boxer boxing Olympic Games in Tokyo, which is amazing. So I wish her all the very best. They're probably the 2, 3 that I know best, Pat, Fraser and Charlie. But we've got talent up and down through the squad, Long are the days when I was youngster and I came on a Great Britain squad, we'd go away to a tournament and we'd want to avoid a Russian in the draw, avoid a Cuban, avoid a Ukrainian because they were the strong ones. We're now the country you want to avoid. And we were minnows back then. Maybe we'd get one person did well, or when we went, maybe 2 people did well. Now we do really well all the time consistently. And now we are the heavyweights in the division that people want to avoid in the draw, which just shows how much we've come along, and that's all our successes along the way. We keep getting better and better and better. And this will probably be our most successful boxing team ever because of the talent that they've got on the squad.
No, definitely. And yeah, you mentioned Ukrainian. We've talked about Anthony Joshua, and in the Olympics you were involved in. Obviously, Anthony Joshua won a gold medal. Oleksandr Usyk won a gold medal. Yesterday, it was confirmed those two are going to clash for the heavyweight titles on the 25th of September at Tottenham Stadium. What do you make of that fight? You were obviously in that same Olympics as both of them. For that to be on the world stage in the professional ranks.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a great fight. It's a great fight. You've got heavyweight champion of the world against probably the best, biggest man in the world. So Usyk is unbelievable. He's so good. I watch him school everyone in the Olympic Games. School everyone. He's so good in the Olympics, in the World Series of boxing, in the pros. He's so good. He's a better boxer than Joshua. He's got more strengths as well than Joshua. Joshua's probably got naturally 2.5 stone on him, which is the best equalizer anybody can have. They always say a good big man beats a good little man. And Usyk, in this instance, is a little man because Joshua's a lot bigger than him. I think Usyk outboxes him. But at some point, 12 rounds, I think he's going to run away and outbox and score points and jab and move and jab and move. And boxing-wise, you've got too much for Joshua. However, 36 minutes, 12 rounds is a long time to run from somebody. At some point in the fight, Joshua's going to tag him. And I think when he does, he probably knocks him out. He tags him, he breaks him down. And Joshua's very heavy-handed, he's very fast, very athletic. So at some point, he'll probably get hold of him and take him out. If Usyk was 2 inches taller and a stone heavier, nobody on the planet beats him. I even think him and Fury would be a really good fight because it'd be a strategic, a technical fight for 2 big men, 2 real good boxers, 2 great boxers. But I just think Josh is too big, Right? I just think it's just a bit too big. And if Usyk, as I said, is a bit bigger and a bit just bigger, then I think he'd probably win and outbox him. But I just think 36 minutes is a long time to stay away from a backhand and left hook. And at some point in the fight, Josh would probably land a backhand and left hook. And when he did, it was a big difference getting hit by cruiserweights and heavyweights. Heavyweights hit hard, and they've been hitting hard their entire lives. Cruiserweights are still weight drained. Cruiserweights still have to adhere to a weight category, so aren't as big, aren't as powerful. So I think it'd be, but it'll be a great fight. Usyk. I don't think it'll be a great fight to watch. I don't think it's been a brilliant. I don't think it's not gonna be a Aguero prior fight, but it's gonna be an interesting fight, and I think Usyk either on points or Joshua knocks him out. Probably Joshua knocks him out, I think.
No, definitely. And another former Olympian we've already mentioned, Joe Joyce, is in action this weekend against Carlos Takam. What have you made of Joe Joyce since he's turned professional, and how do you see him getting on against Carlos this weekend?
I like Joe, real nice guy, nice lad, big, strong, hard, tough as nails, always in great fights. Always, he is a punter's dream, always in great fights because of the way he fights. He ain't technically the best. He's not that fast. He's not that talented. But he's big, he's fit, he's strong, and he will grind you down and bust you up like he did Daniel Dubois earlier this year, last year, whenever it was. He big, fit, strong, gives anyone problems. That's a great fight because Takam's hardly the fleet-of-foot heavyweight either. With two big, strong dudes punching the hell out of each other, it'll be a great fight. It'll be a great fight. I'm really like Joe could win a world title. Would he beat Joshua? Probably not. Would he beat Fury? Probably not. But who knows what's going to happen? No, he's not going to happen. He could fight a Usyk. Usyk wouldn't knock him out. She's too. I think Joshua could knock Joe Joyce out because he's so big and so strong and so fast. I think Wilder could knock Joe Joyce out, and that's no like slag on Joyce because Joyce is brilliant. Joyce is so good, but heavyweight boxing, you get knocked out. The best got knocked out. The very best, biggest and toughest got knocked out. The old Klitschko, everyone got knocked out, right? Lennox Lewis got knocked out. So getting knocked out at heavyweight isn't a bad thing. You know, it happens. I don't think Usyk's got the power to knock out. For example, Usyk could fight Joshua and could beat him on points for the world title. And Joe Joyce could fight Usyk, and Usyk could outbox him for 11.5 rounds, no problem. But Joe Joyce putting the pressure on for the whole fight. Last 20 seconds, he can't force Jermaine's head in, bang, bang, bang. Usyk's out, then Joe Joyce is the heavyweight champion in the world. No, it could happen. You know, Joe Joyce could become world champion. You know, in the right fight. I don't think he'd be Fury or Joshua, but he could win a world title if Fury lost or if Joshua lost, you know. So yeah, I like Joe Joyce. I think he's great value for fans. And if I wasn't a boxer and didn't know the art of boxing, the sweet science of the sport, and I was just a boxing fan, a boxing punter, then Joe Joyce would be the first person I buy a ticket for because he's in exciting fights, big, strong, he gets hit and he hits hard. So yeah, he's a terrific talent we've got in Britain.
Just one final question. It was a question Anthony Crolla had for you. Is the chicken teriyaki still your favourite sub?
Mate, Anthony Crolla, if Subway want to pay me 100 grand again, it can be my favourite sub. I'd eat a dog shit Subway. If they pay me 100 grand to sell on TV, I'd eat that. So yeah, if they pay, whatever they want me to say, they pay me enough money, I'll say whatever they want me to say. Yeah. But they asked me. They actually asked me. They said, "What's your, we want to make this authentic as possible. But what's your favorite sub?" I went, I like the chicken and bacon one sub. It's like 2011, and they went, "Oh well, we've already got an athlete who likes that. What's your second favorite sub?" I like chicken teriyaki, and then. That was actually and actually I liked it more than the bacon and ranch one. So it was actually my favorite. Obviously, it helps when you're getting paid a lot of money to say that as well. But it was my favorite. Yeah.
Top stuff, Ant. Thank you so much for your time and real pleasure speaking.
Cheers, Josh.
Well, it's good to see and hear from Anthony Ogogo again, and you know. Again, it's fairly deep at times. He's had an awful lot of trouble over the years, and he's dealt with some amazing things. But he's come back. He's a very strong character, isn't he? He was
known as one of the hardest workers in the room all the time on that GB setup, and mentioned about the Olympics. I remember it being well documented. You know, his mother not being well, and obviously a nightmare with professional career. Their injuries. Thankfully now everything seems to be working out well for him. So you know he's finally had that bit of a break. I'm not saying he's worked hard for it as well, but got that break that he maybe deserved.
I know that you're obsessed with his selection of Subway sandwich as well.
Absolutely.
Because there was that famous little bit of endorsement that he had ahead of the games. But, you know, it's hinting there, you know, pretty much you make the right offer and Anthony's up for anything. Is there anything you wouldn't do for a few quid, Ant?
I'm not a massive Subway fan, but there's very little. There's very little. I think I've got the price for everything, if I'm honest, though. Almost everything.
Well, that's good to know. That's a very honest opinion from Anthony $1 Million Crolla. So, probably we shall leave it there. Just the usual roundup at the end. Anything new with Fox ABC, your amateur gym, or the kids that you're looking after over the summer, all the rest of it?
We've obviously the finals. We've got a 10 getting put up next week, like a marquee. I think we're very sort of be easily be able to do them outdoors, but the marquee when the rain does come, the Great British Summer, so we can then move the rig outside and have a few mobile things to have the kids back in the gym and the kids off the estate. So especially over the summer holidays while they're out of school, hopefully keeps them out of trouble. Professional fighters, like I say, I'll be able to work with them a little bit in there, but also in the gyms that I'm using. But other than that, no, we're just waiting. I know Joe's sort of fighters. We're just waiting. You mentioned sort of Tasha. She's meant to be on week 3 of a fight camp. I'm thinking now. No, everyone's just sort of waiting. Everyone's just waiting again. But the season is. Everyone else is waiting, but the season is going to start picking up again very soon. There'll be a lot of announcements.
Just a quick one about the Fox. Obviously, you had the fire. There was no foul play whatsoever in the fire that you've had at the football club, obviously. But has the cleanup began? Has the refurb began? What's the situation with the building?
It's been frustrating. We haven't been able to start the cleanup for certain insurance reasons, but we will be able to start it in the next few days, and we're thankful for volunteers. We're not short of them, so we'll be done as quick as possible. It's been great, and I think even if we put some out on the social media, like the kids who are meant to, they might get in a bit of trouble at school. They all want to come and help. They show that they've got a great side to them. But we're going to be good for that. We're going to be good for that, and I look forward to sort of having a bit of a same home, but just a temporary building / marquee tent. It'd be good to have more back.
Just before you go then, for our viewers, Betfred viewers as well, in terms of Joe Joyce and Takam, how's it all end up?
I think Joe's got a fantastic jab. And I think once he finds his rhythm, starts landing that jab, he breaks up opponents a little bit the way he did with Dubois. Takam, super tough and he's durable. Built to take a great shot. It takes something big to put him over. I've seen which is over that time, which let's not forget, he had his moments. But I see Joe, he does get caught sometimes, but I think he takes over after the first few rounds and starts breaking Takam up behind the jab. And I think 9-12, he sets a great pace, Big Joe Joyce. Let's not say he's not just a tough guy who comes forward behind the jab. He makes fighters work. They're always working. They're under pressure. And I think he gets Carlos Takam late on. Prediction sort of 9-12.
And you can change your mind on these two quickfire ones, but your first initial one, now that the fights have been made, firstly,
I probably will change it a few times.
Well, you can change, but Joshua Usyk, your first thoughts on this one. Now it's just been made.
I'm going Joshua. Listen, I've said it all along. It's not the most confident pick. I could easily see how Usyk could run away with points, but I do believe Joshua's boxing. His IQ, he's not on the level of Usyk, but I do think size will count for something, and it is improving all the time. And I think he does catch up with Usyk at some point, and it might be around 5 or 6, but I could change my mind a few times leading up to that. I do, and I really respect Anthony Joshua. You've seen a lot of it, his defenses, who he's been in with, and I always say, you forget how inexperienced Anthony Joshua is, how something freakish the way he won the Olympics in such limited amateur experience. But the opposition who he's fought, since he's been champion, is nothing short of unbelievable. And again, outside of Fury, he's took on possibly the toughest fight that he could do.
So is that Joshua late stoppage?
Joshua, don't know about late. Maybe it's late. I think he catches Usyk at some point. If he starts going late, then I don't know whether I lean towards Usyk. But I'm sticking with AJ. I'm sticking with AJ.
What, mid-rounds then? Is it a stoppage that you're thinking? Or
mid-rounds for now, it's got to be mid-rounds. Right. I think he catches Oleksandr, but it's a tough one to call.
And is Fury Wilder 3? Is it, if you think of Wilder 2, is it repeat or revenge?
I think it might be a touch more cautious early on, but I think it's repeat. I think it's repeat. Might take a round or two longer, but I think Tyson Fury then starts walking Wilder down, takes his power shots away from him, and starts walking down, beat him up, and a stoppage this time. The towel won't come in, as crazily how he's explained before. He wasn't happy with that, but yeah, I believe Tyson Fury wins inside the distance again.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Anthony. Enjoy the sunshine now while it lasts. Top up the tan, and catch you again soon. And thank you very much indeed for watching the Betfred Boxing Show.